Hey everybody, Brandon here, Mr. B's Fishing Things. I got some new stuff in the mail today. Let's see what it is.
So here is what I got. I ordered, this looks like an Eheim commercial, and it's not, but it just sort of looks that way. I like their products quite a bit. So I ordered this new filter, a heater, that's an intake spout, and some rubber tubing to do some fixing up and repairs on various tanks in here. This new filter is going to be for this tank right here. The heater this one is 125 watts, and we have placed it in this tank up here. Sorry about the glare. That is a 55. There are Eheim heaters in all of the tanks. I like them quite well. So this tank here, you guys have seen a video on of these Vijas. Still doing wonderful, by the way. This is a fairly new setup in this tank. It doesn't look like it because you guys have seen what sort of looks like this tank before quite a few times. And that's because if you go right over here, looks awful similar, doesn't it? These are my Zanadas. They're in this big tank. It looks just like this tank. This new tank here kind of happened by accident. It was for sale used and needed repaired, and we bought it and fixed it up. So, what do one of these look like out of the box? Let's see. This is an Eheim Classic 600. Eheim Classic series of filters is something I really like. They're my favorite filters to use when it comes to canisters. When you open it up, you get a pamphlet. It's good for a couple of different canisters. I'm sure it covers a few things. They're well packed. When you look inside, like so. So we have intake tube, bag that includes an intake screen, a few suction cup pieces, and an outlet pipe. Suction cups. Valves. I really like the valves that they use. So the shut off, the hose is screwed directly onto each side here, and they have shut offs. And then what's really nice, the reason there's two shut offs is in between the two they're a disconnect system with double rubber O-rings. So, and just by hand tightening, and I've never had one leak or fail on me. Lots of hosing. What they do with the hosing is they give you two pieces of hose, because there's two different diameters on this. 1, 2, and they just give you a length of them, and you cut them the way that you see fit. Spray bar. So what that is a couple of holes drilled in it, open at one end, got a block off at the other end, and you use that to create surface agitation and pressure and spray bar into your tank if you want to use that instead of the outlet tube that they give you. Second valve. Compare the one valve to the other here, because of the two different size hoses, two different size valves. The nice thing about that is once you have it hooked up, one will be an intake, one will be an outlet. It'll be near impossible to mix the two up. And then finally, the canister filter itself. Nothing else in the box. Let's move that aside. Canister filter itself. What is in the canister filter itself? Well, they plug in, they have an inlet, outlet. So water comes out of the tank, goes in, gets pumped back out into the tank. Then they have these metal tabs all around the outside that hold it on. You've seen how I clean and service these, so I'm not going to go into that in a different video. You can go look that up if you like. Inside, when you order one of these new ones as a kit, they have these separators, sponge, more sponge, they're different courses, then bag of media, basically pumice stone, little pellet ball type pumice stone. I like them really well, find they work really well. More sponge, bio rings, more bio rings, and finally another separating screen. So, empty tub otherwise. Now the nice thing about them is you can order every single piece and part that you want for replacement parts. And because it's just a big open tub, you can use all of this media that they've given you, or you can put any media you want in there. A lot of people like using pot scrubbies and different things like that. You can put whatever you want in there. Remember, beneficial bacteria will live on anything that the water touches, as long as it's safe for your aquarium. So, that's what comes in a new Eheim Classic. This one is a 600. They have different series and numbers. They call it a 2217 or a Classic 600. So that's what comes in one. So what I have done concerning media is, you see there's a bag of media in here already. There's a couple of them in there. I've already got an intake sponge running on one of these circulation pumps. I'll leave one of those here, one will come off. And I've been doing that to keep my media already in this tank and already doing things. Bag of media, what I did was I have an air sponge, or sorry, an air stone running behind it with the bag of media. These are going to go into that canister filter. So in a sense what I was doing with my media is I was sort of cycling it ahead of time. Now what I did was I had this media all cycling in the tank that they were in before they were moving over here. So when I set up this tank, I took some gravel, I took these ornaments out of another tank that they were in. There's a few that were not. This great big pot, for example, this was just sitting waiting to go in here. And at least half of my gravel, my substrate, came out of the previous tank that they were in, that was their grow up tank. All of these smaller ornaments were all in there with them, as was the media. Oop, here we go. As was the media bags. They were in there as well, along with the intakes and circulation pumps and intake sponges. Those were all being cycled previous. Then I put everything over here, and I moved over a couple of fish for a few days. Then I moved over some more fish for a few days. And that's the way that this has been going. This tank's been set up like this without a big canister or anything on it for over a month now. I've been monitoring my parameters, and it's going really well. Finally, my filter came in a little later than I thought it was supposed to, and I'm going to get that set up on here now. So I've already got some media that I had previous that was already cycled. So some of the new media, all I'll do now is I'll put that in bags, drop that into tanks, and get it all cycled up, and I just sort of keep this system going. So we filled our canister with the media that we already had cycling, and now I've proceeded to start cutting the tubes and fitting them the way that I want them, the valves in place. This isn't really meant to be how to set up your canister filter, but maybe we can do a little bit of that, I guess. Everything is just hand tightening and press fit. It's that simple. There's the outlet tube. Cut the piece of hose to length, cut a piece of it to go in between, and then these are just hand tightened screw nuts that go onto the hose to keep it in place securely. And it's really quite that simple. Going to be the same thing happening here. Screw the secure nut down. The hose will simply go on. It's a nice firm fit. I've seen people or heard people say that they heat them up a little bit in hot water first or something. You could. I've never found that necessary. Even with one hand here, as you see, then this tightens up on there and it's very secure. And that's the way that it goes. And now what I'll do is I'll cut the hose, put the clamp, a set of valves in between, clamp down these screw nuts onto it, and just keep on going like that, cutting to length and putting stuff on the tank. All right, we'll be back when we got it ready. Probably should be noted that they come with these, that's what's in here, these rubber suction cups. They're a good quality suction cup. They don't dry out real easy, and they come with these tabs. And all you do is place one inside of the other, and you end up with this. Fits real well onto the hose, or in this case, the outlet pipe. Holds it securely in place. Comes with a few of those. So in other words, it comes with everything you're going to need. This is kind of the war zone of hoses that are left over. And one other quick note, it does have arrow on it that you can hook them up so that it indicates, you know, direction of flow, just to help you in the future if you ever forget or something like that. But they're really pretty simple. Anyway, on this particular one, there are two different size hoses, so you're never ever going to mix them up anyway, right? Now some of the other ones, they have the exact same size hose, and what I've done with those ones is I've put the valves on one way or the other way, so that then when these are, then you can't mix them up because they'll only hook up one direction, if you understand what I'm saying. So if we do it this way, then I'll hook that on with the intake and the other one on the outlet, and vice versa, right? So you can't mix them up. So there's a hint for you to make it a little bit easier if you're ever doing these with valves. You won't be able to mix up the direction of flow that way, and then your valves will work correctly as well. So this is the spray bar in the tank. That's why the pipe is shaped funny, as it hooks on there, it goes out around. The intake pipe down into the tank. They come around the side here. Valves and filter sitting there just like so. Now all we did to prime it was I unhooked the outlet and gave a haul on it to get a suction going. It automatically fed because it's so much lower. Gravity fed the water in, filled it up, and it's ready to plug in now. So let's try that. Sorry for the clunky camera work. We are over here in the corner. Trying to do this all one-handed and hold the camera, right? So, there's our cord. Over to our power bar. Oh, look at that. Got a little safety feature on there. Okay. Plug it in. All kinds of noise as it starts up. And it's running already. There it is with the spray bar. Makes all kinds of nice bubbles that way. Alright. We'll close the glass a little bit, get rid of a little bit of the gap. And it's running and ready to go. So, new canister filter on the tank. I'm going to take this intake sponge from this circulation pump, go put it over there on the intake. I'm going to leave the one circulation pump here in the top. It's helping to circulate the tank, and that'll be the filtration on this tank. All right. So you might be wondering what the extra J-tube and the hose was for. Well, yard sale finds. I found another Eheim canister filter, a 350, that didn't have the intake J-tube anymore, and the hoses on it didn't look very good. So I ordered those up at the same time as I was ordering my filter. It also didn't have the valves, but I did find these shut-off valves online from overseas economically, and I think they're going to work for me. All right. So that's what I got in the mail today. Thanks for watching.